So you're very, very good at your job, and as is illustrated by the last 4 hours. I just want to say that you're way better at defending than you are at explaining what you're going to do about the problems that have led to your dismal public profile. And I wish it was better, but I have the most recent poll here from, I think it's from Harris. Yes, it is, the Harvard CAPS Harris poll. 70% of respondents said that they were either very or somewhat concerned about interference by the FBI and other intelligence agencies in elections. 71% agreed that changes post-2016 had not done enough to prevent further interference and that wide-ranging reform still required. Now, I also, pretty interesting article in the Inquirer, the damning Durham report, and I'll just read from you this quote from Mr. Durham. The promulgation of additional rules and regulations to be learned in yet more training sessions would likely prove to be a fruitless exercise. So you must have done something more than promulgating additional rules and regulations, because to me, that doesn't do much at all when we're going to an issue that probably is cultural. And to that end, I just want to share with you some of the things I hear from my sheriffs across my 20 counties. So I have 20 county sheriffs. In fact, one of my brothers used to be one for 15 years. And so I called him, my brother, and I said, hey, what was your experience with the FBI? And he said, they're very qualified. But when they appear, you know you have to be aware that part of their job is to enforce Section 1983. And he pointed that out just because there's a constant tension between FBI and local law enforcement. Would you agree? And by the way, when you go out and you talk to sheriffs, nobody's going to say to the director of the FBI, we don't like you. Why would they do such a crazy thing? They want your help. And by the way, I asked for your help down in Southern Oregon against all the drug cartels. And to your credit, and your office out of Portland's credit, you did your best to help. You don't have very many people there, but you did your best to help. But for you to come in here and say, I've never heard from a sheriff that we're doing a bad job. Well, no, you haven't. But now tell me, am I wrong? Am I saying that sheriffs would walk right up to you and say, you know, you're doing a bad job? I mean, how many have said that to you?
Well, my experience with sheriffs actually has been that they are often very colorful and very blunt in their communications.
You didn't mention
so
that,
I feel
but
that they...
forgive me for interrupting, but earlier today, you didn't say anything about them being negative. And what I'm trying to get at here is, you've done your job today to defend your agency, and good for you. But it's not what we're here today. I want to go to Durham's page 288 of his report. And this is going to the heart, I think, of what part of your problem may be. And he's making his observations. He's very careful to protect you. He says, in making observations, we're mindful of the benefit of hindsight. And then he says this, some FBI employees who were interviewed by our investigators advised they had significant reservations about aspects of Crossfire Hurricane and tried to convey their misgivings. Others had doubts about the investigation, did not voice their concerns. In some cases, nothing was said because of a sense there had to be more compelling information in possession of those closest to and still other and current former employees who maintained they did their best to take reasonable investigative steps and acted within your procedure and guideline. Here's what I'm getting at here is, I don't think people within your organization are comfortable calling out negative things. I don't think they are. And I wouldn't be either. I'd be worried, because I look at what happens to whistleblowers and others. I'd go, oh man, this is not a safe place to be. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And I think that is not a good thing for your agency. But you know where it starts? It starts with actually admitting that you got a problem. And I don't think you're very good at that either. I'm going to your testimony, page 13. You might want to look at it. I'm sure you wrote it, so you probably don't have to. But on page 13, last paragraph, you write, to be sure, nobody more deeply shares members' concerns regarding past FBI, and here's the words, compliance violations. Compliance, is that all they did? Aren't there a whole bunch of better terms? I went to ChatGPT to find out. I found these words that might have been better. But I'm really asking you, is that all they did? Didn't they break a law? Didn't they do something more than fail to comply? I'm asking you, if the culture is the issue, doesn't the leader have to at least call out bad acts a little more aggressively? That's my question.
number one, depending on what the violation is, that may or may not be the right description. Some of the things that have happened in the past are things that I have deplored in the strongest possible terms. Some of the things that have happened in the past, I think, are described as compliance violations. So there's no one description that fits everything that has gone wrong at the FBI over the last 5 or 10 years. My language, in general, tends to be fairly measured. I think that's a fair statement about me. Some people refer to me as low-key, but no one should ever mistake my demeanor for what my spine is made out of. And I have made it very clear to our people over and over and over again that I expect them to do their work in the right way with rigor and objectivity. And as to FBI employees' willingness to speak freely and to complain, much like our exchange about sheriffs, I will tell you, your description of our employees doesn't fit with my experience. When I get out to all 56 field offices, one of the things that I do, especially on this last round, my second round, was to meet with employees without their executive management present, just me and them, including people who are retirement eligible. And we have a term, an affectionate slang term for people who are retirement eligible. It's called KMA. You can guess what KMA stands for, and it reflects their ability, because they're retirement eligible, to be able to speak freely. And they complain to me about all kinds of things, and we have a very lively conversation. So I'm quite confident that my employees feel comfortable talking to me about problems and things that we need to fix. But my demeanor is part of what you're reacting to.
Yeah, forgive me for interrupting, but my time is over. I want to thank you for your candor, and I yield back.